In this video, I'm going to walk you guys through and show you how pages work with NextJS. Well, in order to do this, I'm going to actually build a couple different pages. Number one, we're going to be building a pricing page. Number two, we're going to be building a product details page. And number three, we're going to be building a join your team page, then a sign in, and of course a sign up page. And finally, we're going to be building a contact us page. So which means if we have our website, or for example, if we have our website on google.com, if people go to contact, they'll be able to view the contact us page. And if people go to another page, they'll be able to go to that page as well. So this is what we're going to build in order just for you guys to learn how to use NextJS pages. But how does it work? Well, first thing first, let's head over to nextjs.com. When you go to nextjs.com, it will take you to the main website. Make sure that you click on docs wherever you see the docs, and then after you click on the documentation, you need to make sure you do have Node.js installed. If you don't know if you do have it, that's fine. You can head over nodejs.org. If you type it on Google, then you can install the recommended version. If you want to check and see if you have that installed, you can just type within your terminal. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom that out. Then you just type node v. That way you confirm you have this installed. All right, so once you have that installed, all you have to do, I'm gonna come here. First, I'm gonna navigate to where you want this project to be. In this case, I'm gonna go inside my desktop, and inside this YT, which is YouTube folder, I'm gonna create a Next.js project. Actually, give me 1 second. If I can copy this command, you can see here, I'm gonna copy, right click copy, go back to my terminal, and I'm gonna paste that in there. So this command right there is gonna go ahead and create a Next.js project. So it's gonna ask me for my name. I'm gonna call this one pages. I'm gonna call this one my pages, something like that. You click enter. Now, based on your system, this might take a second, but we'll see how far it will go, and we're gonna resume in a second. If everything goes as expected, you should be having something that looks like this. So you can follow the command. In my case, I'm gonna follow this one. I'm gonna cd into my page, and then once you are inside your page, you can open it inside VS Code. I don't have this command set up for me, but you can feel free to kind of have it there, or you can just open VS Code, navigate to where this is located. You can go here, click open, and then you navigate where this is. In my case, mine was inside the GT folder, so I just go within GT, and then I'm able to see that entire folder there, and I just open that within VS Code. So when you first open a project like this within VS Code, this is what you go on. Let me make sure I got this right. So yes, let me come here, let me close that out. There you go. So this is what you will see when you first started opening that project to VS Code. Before I select them all, don't do this. Don't select anything, just open it. And once you're inside this folder, I'm gonna click open, and that should open the project for me right there. So once you open a Next.js project, it's typically the boilerplates. You got your next config here that you can do a lot of things with it. You got some of the package JSON, you can eject this and yada yada. What we're going to focus on this video is going to be pages, okay? So we're going to focus on Next.js pages. What are pages? Well, pages are ways you can build your components or your application way faster, because there's a lot of things that are done for you behind the scene, which we're gonna go a little bit deep today about what's happening. But first, let me kind of give you guys an example. So I'm gonna go here inside my terminal. I'm gonna run this terminal. I'm gonna run yon dev. Yon dev means that I'm going to go ahead and install and run the Next.js project into my local computer. Again, you can do npm run dev if you don't have yon, but I'm gonna go with yon dev to run that for me. So now I can go on my computer here and go on port 3000, and I should be able to see my Next.js application, and there you go, this is my Next.js application. Well, what if I wanted to build different pages? For example, what if you want people to go and contact you on something like contact page or about page, different other pages? Well, you want people to be able to do that for you, right? Whenever you have a website. Well, we're gonna go deeper, so bear with us. We're gonna show you guys a lot of things here, so just take your notes, whatever you need to take. So first thing first, you can start building them. Come in here. There's a couple boilerplate they give you. One of them is this is the boilerplate they give you. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna actually just go back from here. I'm gonna delete everything, and I'm gonna start defining a couple. I'm gonna define this one. I'm gonna call this one homepage, something like this. And I'm gonna come here. I'm just gonna add a very simple tag just for us to go. We're gonna go very slow, but we're gonna go a little bit fast as we go along. So this one's going to be a hello world, and I'm gonna export this one as default. I'm gonna go here and export this homepage as default. And if I go back to the main website, which is just the homepage, you can see my hello world, right? But remember, we talk about different routes, such as contact page, about page, billing page, whatever that is. Well, you can have different routes. The way you define this is inside the folder. Please do not go anywhere else. It's very important. The name has to remain pages. If you do change it for any reason, it's not going to work. So it's very important. I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna define a couple things. I'm gonna define something called about page. You can see here. I'm gonna move here. Do the same thing. I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna call this one about page. And instead of hello world, I'm gonna say, hey, I am the about page. And now, if I go back to the page and slash about, you can see it goes to that component. I didn't have to do anything. It goes directly to this component. But what really happened, right? Well, why did I know to put about? The way it works is whatever name that is inside the pages, aka like about, it automatically going to generate what they call a route for you. So which means if I come here and add something like billing, okay, I'm gonna come back here and possibly gonna change this one to billing page, and I'm gonna say I am the billing page, something like that, or whatever, if I can spell this right, billing. And then now the fact that we have this name equal to billing, then I can go back to my route right there, and then I'm able to see I get access to billing. So things are going good so far. We can start building routes, right? But before we go any further, there's one thing I want to show you, because there's a lot more going to the routing. And if you remember, by the way, if you haven't watched my full crash course on React on Next.js, definitely make sure you do. We kind of give you most of the things that you could do with Next.js. But the other thing I want to mention here that's very important, yes, you have different routes. You have the home page, you have about page, but what if you wanted to navigate between them instead of just like entering the route, but be able to click a button and go to them, right? And this is why we love Next.js. I myself love Next.js because you got all these things out of the box. They come with something called Next Router. And with Next Router, you can actually use a hook called router, use router. Then you can come here, you use that hook. We're gonna call this one router, and then we're gonna say use router. And now, as you start having button, in this case, I'm gonna have a very simple div element within it. I'm gonna add my whatever this was, and then here I'm gonna have a button. I'm gonna say go to homepage, something like this, and then I'm gonna have another one that say go to about page. And as I start having different buttons that I want to navigate, then I can handle a click event here. Check this out. I could say click event, and then from here I could say, okay, whenever I click this button, I want it to navigate. And as you can see here, I only use the word push, rather that push, and I tell it exactly where I want it to go. In this case, I want it to go to about. You can see here, I want the first one to go to the main page, which is just home page, and I want the second one to go to about. Now I'm gonna copy the same thing here, possibly, and I'm gonna copy this div. I'm gonna test it first to the billing. So if I go back to billing, you can see now the billing have different routes. It can go to about, and it can go to a home page, and yada yada. But the other homepage don't have it. I'm gonna go back and add them. So I'm gonna copy the same code, and I'm gonna come here and possibly just do this and just add like a div element, because everything needs to wrap. And now we're gonna move this bad boy right there. We're just gonna make sure that we return this, and yada yada. We got the same thing. I'm gonna go back to the homepage and do the same thing. I'm gonna add the div element. add them there. I'm gonna copy this entire element, paste them there, and then finally I'm gonna add this one right there, and we should be able to get this to work. And now if we go back to the different page inside this one hello page, I'm actually gonna remove this billing one. So if I go inside the hello page, which is the home page, I can tell the home page to go to the about page. You can see, I can say, okay, /about, and this one's gonna go to the billing page. I can add the billing route, and this one's gonna go to billing page. You can see how I start building this out, right? Now I have, when I'm on the home page, I can go to the billing page. There is an error. Router is not defined. It's because we brought router from here, but over those components, we don't have it. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna import them. We're gonna go here, import them. Then we're gonna say next router, just like we did, and then use router. Then we go into define it. We're gonna come here and say, okay, we're gonna define that router, and then we're gonna come here, yada yada. And now if we go back to the home page, try to go to the billing page, I am on the billing page. And if I go back again to the billing page, I can navigate back to the home page. And now if I want to go to the home page, I can see I am on the about page here. Of course, if I try to go anywhere here, it will throw an error because my router is not defined again. I'm going to define it one more time just to give you guys more practice to see what's happening. And I'm gonna go back here and then define my router again. I'm gonna come here and say, okay, this one is the router, and I can start using it. This one's gonna go to home page and then the billing page. So that's a simple page. I'm building a very simple apps that are able to navigate. This one can go to the about page. You can see here, go to the about page, go to the home page, and then the third one is go to, I just need to update this one, go to the billing page. So out of the fly, I start having a very simple React.js application. But again, we're gonna build this along the way. But what else you can do with routing? Right? So if you go here, it doesn't only work with this folder, it also works with deeper things as well. For example, we're gonna start building. We're gonna show you guys how we're gonna build this. What if you wanted to build like a team, right? So you can come here, you can start building a folder called team, and then within this folder, you can start adding your teammate. I could add myself here, Sterling Axime. I can come here and say, okay, this is going to be a JS file. Just gonna copy some code right there, paste them here, just to kind of make sure that things are fast. And I'm gonna call this one username, my profile, my name, something like that. And then there, I could say, okay, this one is going to be Axime Sterling page, yada yada. But how do we access this, right? We've learned before from pages, we can instantly access about and billing, but how do I access a folder? Well, it's the same thing. If we want to come here, we go back to the router, and then we're gonna put, okay, the folder name is team, and you see team, and I'm gonna go inside that folder, which is Axime Sterling, and then I'm gonna do /Axime Sterling right there. And voila, now I'm accessing the Sterling Axime page. And of course, if you have different teammates, for example, if you can have like Steven JS, something like that, you kind of have here, you go, okay, this is the Steven page. You have the idea by now. If I go back again, I change it to just Steven. I kind of have Steven here, right? But what if you have 100,000 million people? This file is going to get really long. And these are things you can do. These are the beauty about NextJS. So instead of manually adding one single member here, you can come here and create what they call dynamic routing, right? So you can add, okay, I'm gonna call my team name, my username, and you add a JS. Now, if you're looking at this, you might be like, okay, I've never seen this before. Is that even JavaScript? Is that even illegal? Well, the good news is it's NextJS. This is how NextJS knowing that you are passing dynamic route. So right now, what I can do instead, I can come here and I can say, okay, this is going to be the team page. I could call this one team page. Then once I call this team page, every time that people go to one of those team member, I'm gonna go ahead and delete them actually. I'm gonna delete both of them. So anytime that I go ahead and delete them. Now I'm gonna say username. Okay, so now every time that's a team member, go to /team/the team member username, then they always going to see that page. If they tap something else, and then they're always going to see that page. Well, the beauty about this is if something didn't exist, or it could tap any number of people here, you can type whatever that is, it is still going to render. But if you remember before, the team, we were rendering them based on the page with their username, right? How can we do this? Well, we can do the same thing like that too as well. So we can use something called query. So we can come within that router here. This one's called username. So I'm gonna come here and say, okay, I'm gonna do like a destructor. I'm gonna call this one username. Now this one needs to match, it's very important that it needs to match the name that we give it here. So whatever this is here, it needs to match the name of the file. We're gonna talk about that in a second, but let's test this. So if I come here and say, okay, this one now is a username. So if I go back to the page, refresh this now, you can see I'm getting the username. If I change this one to Axemi Sterling, you can see now I'm getting Axemi Sterling. And if I change this one to Patrick, you can see now I'm getting Patrick, Stephen, you get the idea by now, right? But what if I change this? Well, if you change this, maybe you change this one to team name, something like team name. Well, if you remember, this won't work because if I refresh this, I'm not getting the value that I was expecting here. Why? It's because this, if you remember, this needs to match exactly what's here. So we're gonna call this one team name, and that should be matching as well here. Now we're getting the Stephen value and yada yada. So that's kind of like the basic with routing on how you can navigate and send people to. Again, remember, we're gonna keep building this. We're already 15 minutes in, so we're gonna break this one here. We're gonna do section 2 where we're gonna show you guys how we're gonna start implementing those routing themselves. See you guys in the second video.